Despite the rare engineering traditionalism, Subaru developers have always managed to cram something unexpected and revolutionary into the design. For example, in 1986, a CVT was installed on the compact Justy. Rejected and forgotten by everyone, he, reworked by Van Dorn himself, suddenly sparkled with new colors and secured a perspective for himself for many years. In 2009, the CVT appeared on a much larger Subaru, our today's hero, the Legacy Outback. True, then Legacy was no longer added to the name of this all-terrain wagon. We will not do this either. The fourth-generation Subaru Outback was produced until 2014 and generally proved to be quite good, although, alas, it could not be compared with the famous reliability of its predecessors. To say the Subarists, it has become difficult. It is clear that the Outback is built on the basis of the Legacy, which, in turn, at different times shared the platform with both the Impreza and the Forester. The differences between an all-terrain wagon and a base sedan are minor, but important for making the right choice. The first and most important thing that everyone knows is the difference in ground clearance. In the sedan, it barely reaches 155 millimeters, while in the Outback it exceeds 200 millimeters, which is a decisive argument on bad roads. The interior of the car is no different, with the exception of the trunk. Moreover, it is important to note that the station wagon is not only larger and can be further enlarged due to the rear row of seats, but access to it is much easier, since the door is much wider. The Outback never had a 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine, nor did it have the worst Subaru engine of those years, a 2.5-liter turbocharged one. The power range consisted of a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine, a 3.6-liter six-cylinder and a 3.0-liter boxer turbo diesel, which is recognized as the most unreliable Subaru engine. The main innovation of the Legacy, and after the Outback, was the Lineartronic chain variator, developed in conjunction with Luck. To make it clear what the revolutionary nature of this box is, let me remind you that almost all modern continuously variable transmissions work using a pushing lamellar wedge-shaped belt. Hence increased noise, rapid wear, and high probability of overheating. The main thing is that traditional CVTs are critical of high torque levels, especially with sharp alternating loads, for example, when driving on bad roads and active maneuvering. Quite another matter, wedge chain. They digest torque up to 350 Nm on the input shaft and make almost no noise. In addition, they allow you to make large gear ratios in small cases. Let's say that what is used on the Forester and the Outback has a gear ratio of 6.3, which makes it possible to also refuse a reduction. In addition, on our station wagon there is a so-called long variator with a planetary gearbox after, in fact, the variator assembly. This increases its survivability and eliminates the reverse problems known to Forester owners. In general, in the case of the Outback, solid pluses, including reliability and endurance. Experiments have shown that signs of overheating do not appear even when driving at the highest possible speed for half an hour, which is an unattainable result for other variators. The oil in it changes at intervals of 100,000 kilometers, approximately 12 liters are required, about 4.5 remains in the torque converter. Moreover, we recommend changing the oil, and not adding it, as the manual prescribes. And it is very important not to confuse the oil. It should have the designation Subaru CVT Oil Lineartronic, marked K0425Y0710. It is sold in containers of 20 liters, but you can also cooperate. The variator has problems only with control units, or rather with the part that works in the box itself in the form of sensors and actuators. Otherwise, problems are rare and arise from a lack of oil and overheating. Even diesel and Subaru made Boxer. It didn't turn out very well, although it wasn't that bad either. It's just that, faced with a leak of block gaskets, you will have to seriously fork out, only giving $50,000 for work. However, we do not have many diesel engines at all, and officially they were not imported at all. The main engine was an atmospheric Boxer 4 with a working volume of 2.5 liters. Classic Subaru engine for the Outback. It came with the 6-speed manual or CVT, developing 167 horsepower and 229 Nm of torque. The design used a mechanism for changing the height of the valves, which improves efficiency. For example, with mechanics, fuel consumption outside the city does not exceed 8 liters, and this is with an almost full load. Engine problems are common. When overheated, it leads the heads and the blocks themselves. Maintainability is in question, and most often the nodes are changed entirely. It is important to remember that all these operations can be carried out only by removing the engine from the car, adding this to the cost of the work. In addition to the 2.0-liter, all legacy engines are equipped with the timing chain drive, the life of the chain in which is equal to the life of the engine. You can replace it if you want, but it's expensive. Less than $300, hardly anyone will take it. And the list of spare parts will most likely surprise you. 2 chains, 7 dampers, tensioners and pushers, certainly a pump and 4 pulleys. Often the motor can eat up oil. However, all Subaru engines love it. The manufacturer knows about the problem, but the matter does not go further than the sticker about the need for regular level checks. They say that with intensive use, the Outback engine from bay to bay can eat another bay. Considering the oil change interval of 15,000 kilometers, it turns out well. So they say. Another problem usually arises from those who neglect high-quality fuel. It is necessary to pour only the 95th and only proven. Replacement nozzles, $46 each, are needed when they begin to noticeably tap during operation, and idling loses stability and smoothness. As for the 3.6-liter engine, then, in fact, this is an extended edition of the same 4-cylinder, and it does not differ in any specific features. In general, we can say that if you manage to avoid extremes and you are not seduced by the outstanding high-speed characteristics of a turbo engine or the ultra-efficient diesel, then there should be no problems with the power unit. There are 3 options for all-wheel drive on the Outback, depending on the transmission. On the mechanics, they put a permanent full with the usual conical differential, symmetrical and blocked by the good old viscous coupling. The version with the variator is automatic, connected using an electronic mechanical clutch. And on the classic machine, a permanent full asymmetric, distributing the moment in the proportion of 45:55. It is difficult to say which is better, since they work equally well in all situations, and the average consumer is unlikely to be able to distinguish one from the other. Perhaps some expert will feel the differences in handling on the gravel road, but also not always and not immediately. The main thing is that all systems are incredibly reliable, and couplings can be considered a weak link. Viscous ones can cook in their own juice, electronic ones can become clogged with burnt oil. But it happens so rarely that no one will remember when it was the last time. But the knocking steering rack, on the contrary, any Subaru mechanic will remember right away. And he will add, they say, repair, do not repair. In general, one can say that this is not considered a breakdown. Knocking, annoying, but not falling apart. In the suspension, the stabilizer struts most often die. Some cars have been fitted with Bilstein self-leveling shock absorbers, which cost a pretty penny to replace. But they allow you to carry a ton of cargo and not tear off the rear bumper on a hillock near the Dacia itself. In general, we can safely say that the Japanese succeeded in the 4th generation of Outback. Despite the fact that the famous frameless glass doors disappeared, and we never saw high-quality plastic, the main features, reliability and comfort, have been preserved. Moreover, reliability is not only mechanical, but also in motion. But reliability is the source of peace of mind,